Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 4 of the anime series Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. And what I found absolutely captivating is we're picking up where we left off with Cordelia in this episode. You know, toward the end of the previous, she very much felt this renewed sense of strength that she wanted to fight for these orphans, for the people of Mars, gain them their independence, which they are much deserved of after so many, decades or whatever it is. And I find it interesting how human she is. She is, of course, be filled with self-doubt, and she doesn't feel like she's nearly as strong or capable. In the dialogue of the last episode, she was even going so far as to, contemplate, can I jump into one of these mobile suits and fight that way, for these people, thank them for what they've done for me, but also be their representative. And, she doesn't want to just be the mouthpiece, but of course by the end of the previous episode, she's left realizing that is her true calling. And yet, in this episode, she just still very much feels weak in comparison to the strength Mikazuki Orga, all these other guys of Tekadon, which has been renamed Tekadon, this organization, how tough and how badass and how muscular and how physical the capacities they all have. She feels like she can't bring something enough to the table to even match that. And I love that Mikazuki kind of takes her under his wing a little bit, bringing her to Biscuit's family's farm and letting her hair down, getting her back in touch with nature and understanding sort of the overarching aspect of everything that's going on for these orphans, for the families of this world. In all the corn that they are harvesting, which Mikazuki talks about, it's going to be used for biofuel effectively. There's not much they're really going to be able to make off that monetarily. A lot of what Biscuit's own family is, what's keeping them going is his wages that he sends back to them and everything like that. And it's quite interesting to get, Cordelia back in touch with the importance of all of this. It's not all going to be militaristic every step of the way. It's not going to all be flying at the seat of your pants every step of the way. You have to step back and appreciate the human needs and the human quotient. And it's something that very much, is an answer to that for her. It very much brings her back to her center, which is interesting and which is captivating, alongside the fact that you have, on the Gjallarhorn side, you have these two investigators. They're not one iota buying into Coral, the leader of Gjallarhorn's, sort of business, where he's trying to save face and he's making up the fact, oh, well, our one troop, when they realize there's a whole sort of section missing or whatever, oh, well, they're out on riot patrol. He's making up stories, all this kind of stuff. And he even has the gall, the unprecedented gall, to almost try to, bribe these guys. If you guys need anything, you just come to me, you know what I'm saying? And, Fried, of these two guys, snaps them back a week, you are going to be under arrest if you're trying to bribe us, sir, I will have no hesitation in completely ripping your head off. They know what's up, they have reports. They go down to Mars on their own in this episode, and they're kind of looking around. They have the reports that there was some sort of militaristic engagement that happened, that unfolded there. And of course, there's not much in the way of evidence, I guess. The Tekadon guys and everything probably did fairly well in cleaning it all up, and they're going to harvest whatever the leftovers were in this aftermath of this battle, this confrontation we had in the first 3 episodes, to utilize those things, whatever components they can use for themselves, whatever they can sell for scrap or whatever, is the case. But these two guys from Gjallarhorn, they know something has been up. They know that Cordelia is in the area. We hear Freddie telling Baudouin that's probably what Coral was after. And it's interesting because they run headlong into the whole unfolding Mikazuki Cordelia Biscuits farm thing, with these two little idiot kids, his two little siblings, once again, Cookie and Cracker, whatever it is, running out in the middle of the road, almost getting run over by an oncoming vehicle. How stupid can these kids be? And we see Mikazuki, go from being this very placid, human sort of character, trying to give, Cordelia a sense of what the importance of all this is, what the importance of staying true to her human nature all amounts to, and what that all means in the grand scheme of things, to suddenly going uber militaristic. I mean, he runs up to that vehicle, he grabs Baudouin by the throat and hoists that son of a bitch up into the air with the one arm, that just showing his strength. And of course, he doesn't back down until this old woman, this granny, effectively comes out and is like, "You're always getting too hot-headed, kid. Knock it off." And here we have just an absolutely entrancing, unnerving, confrontation between Farid Baldwin and these kids. Basically Biscuit realizes right away they're from Gjallarhorn. He sees the insignia on the vehicle, and Cordelia and her sort of maidservant, they realize the same thing at the same time. They have to keep hidden because they'll probably try to take her into custody. They don't know if these guys are to be trusted, if they're with Coral, if they're trying to snuff her out, and all this kind of stuff. And the absolute just entrancing unease of the dialogue between these two factions, face to face that they are, in, like the questioning from Farid, do you know about this military organization that's nearby, and was there a battle here? And Biscuit's kind of like winking over him because, well, I'm pretty sure I did hear gunfire at one point in the last couple of days. It might have been some training going on, since we know there's an establishment over that way and everything. And it's kind of left where I'm wondering if Farid and Baldwin know more than they're letting on. Of course, they see that Mikazuki has that stuff on his back to allow him to operate and pilot the mobile suits, and they see how tough he is. They know that he's had training, and so I would be largely surprised with all of these sort of figuring out what Coral had brought to the table and what his impetus was, why he was going after Cordelia, and that he was going after Cordelia to begin with, all that kind of stuff. I'd be very surprised if they walked away from this particular scenario without having an inkling that these kids were probably involved with that organization, and there might be more going on. I don't know so far as to say they might have figured Cordelia was there, but it was a near miss, and it's very lucky for her that they didn't go, sort of searching the grounds or anything like that. They just sort of went on their way in the end. But I mean, apart from that, another sort of fascinating aspect also is twofold for me. I mean, the sort of, unfolding dynamic between Atra and Mikazuki, as I described in my sort of, overview of the first 3 episodes video discussion. I love how there is almost that, love triangle thing where she's constantly misconstruing. I think at least she's misconstruing the dynamic between Mikazuki trying to help Cordelia, and like maybe she thinks he has the hots for her, or he's interested in her in some sort of romantic capacity, even though Mikazuki does thank her for the bracelet she weaved for him in this episode. And she's just elated for that. Even the kids, even Biscuit's little siblings are like ribbing her. Oh, he might get stolen away from you and all this stuff, and it's just flabbergasting her. And Mikazuki, in his own sort of unnatural way, and I say unnatural because he's just very much, there's something about his character, whether it's because of all the surgeries or he's just in his own world, there is a detachment, even though he is doing very human things, and he's an incredible, impeccable fighter and all this stuff. But there are elements to his character that he just seems oblivious. He doesn't seem like he's all there. And he very much exists, as I described in my previous video talking about episodes 1 through 3. He seems to exist solely by what Orga tells him to do, and such like that. Even amidst this meeting, when they're talking about how they're going to do their roundabout way of trying to get Cordelia to Earth, that's still their primary mission, to try to make that happen. He's just oblivious. They're talking about what we can do as far as in the wake of, the faction of Tekkadan that's going to have to try to spirit her over to Earth. What are the people remaining behind going to do? And, very much Orga wants them to try to keep, the process of Tekkadan going, try to keep their livelihoods in, sort of focus, and look for business that they can make money off of and support themselves and have an actual life, a career out of this. And like I say, Mikazuki's just in his own world, so it's very funny, it's somewhat comical how oblivious he probably is toward Atra's, interests in him, how much he probably has no interest in, Cordelia, apart from understanding her importance in all of this, in the equation, and wanting to see her be able to, have success in whatever she's going to do and keep her mind about her, which was why he brought her out to Biscuit's farm to begin with. And this coinciding with his talking about, very much relating to that human aspect of Mikazuki's own personality, is he describing what the human debris thing is all about. There is a faction within Tekkadan who they were sort of the utmost of the slaves. They were bought and sold and traded as so much human debris, effectively. And it's, disheartening to think of it that way, but at the same time, in the revolution that Orga has led, in the renaming of this, organization and everything, he has given them their freedom. He's given them the choice. They can, do whatever they want now. If he hands over their sort of, identification or whatever it was, the information about each of them, hands it over to them, they are no longer required or, going to be held to this place, to this position where, they can be used as so much fodder and all that kind of stuff. And that to me was utmost compelling, because you see the loyalty in this faction. They're like, in answer to Orga's sort of promise that if you walk away now, you're free to do so. But if you stay with us, we'll protect you, we'll give you a livelihood, all this stuff. They are working together. They're coming together in the aftermath of this revolutionary sort of breaking apart from their slave masters, their slave drivers from before, from the earlier faction. And that, to me, it's like, they're all now working for the same concerted efforts. And I love that. I absolutely love seeing these characters come together. Of course, it's going to be an uphill battle. It's not going to be easy. There are hurdles that they're going to have to overcome and everything like that. One, even sort of, a surreptitious villain within the midst, in the character of Toto, who, little Hitler mustache though he is, kind of reminds me of like a Les Lie character from You Can't Do That on Television or something. He's very ridiculous, but he's effectively planning on selling them out and, showing them, as he says toward the end of this episode, how evil adults can truly be and all that kind of stuff. He just wants to take them down from within. He's looking out for himself and no one else. How stupid, arguably might it have been for Orga to leave it to his negotiating, how they're going to do this roundabout way to Earth and all that kind of stuff. It'll remain to be seen as we get into the next episode and we see how this plan unfolds or, completely breaks down disastrously. But, yeah, I'm still very much digging the characterization, the characters themselves. Where this is going, it has me fascinated to see. And I can only assume that at some point, when they try to make their escape or try to get Cordelia to Earth, lives are going to be lost, they're going to be at risk, and there's going to be a battle just waiting to unfold. And, yeah, I'm actually really excited to see how this all plays out. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 4 of Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, if you've seen it, if you're enjoying it as much as I am, and, what your thoughts on it are, basically. Otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. So, otherwise, I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.